This chart tracks 10 years of American charitable giving, peaking at $592.5 billion in 2024. But this jagged line shows unhoused people during the same period. Last year, homelessness jumped 18%, hitting 771,000 people. We are taught that private philanthropy acts as a safety net to solve our worst social crises. Yet, as the dollars flowing into charities hit record highs year after year, poverty and housing instability do exactly the same thing. This direct inverse correlation rules out simple inefficiency. When a system receives over $500 billion and the targeted problems continue to get worse, the system is performing a completely different function. To figure out what that function actually is, we are using the Master Reference File Framework developed by Clinton Alden at the Kosmos Institute of Systems Theory. The Kosmos framework audits the philanthropic sector by ignoring its stated moral intentions. Instead, it measures the machine exclusively by the physical outputs it generates. According to their data, the United States philanthropic system operates as a highly unnatural structure. They classify it as a mechanism for legitimacy theater. The actual, mathematical outcome of this machine is not solving poverty. Instead, its function is to protect and legitimize extreme wealth concentration by creating an illusion of social responsibility. This financial flow diagram reveals the initial input phase. When wealthy donors give to charity, it triggers immediate deductions, diverting over $65 billion of tax revenue away from public infrastructure every single year. A massive portion of this diverted wealth gets routed through specialized financial vehicles known as donor-advised funds, or DAFs. Donors receive maximum tax write-offs the exact moment their money enters a DAF. But legally, they are not required to actually distribute those funds at all. The money can sit completely idle, while communities face immediate housing and healthcare shortages. These funds distribute at a sluggish 23.9% payout rate. Everyday taxpayers are effectively subsidizing these tax breaks. The public absorbs the cost of lost revenue, while the billionaire donor retains their financial power and receives glowing public relations. This pie chart breaks down where that massive wealth goes. Only 14% is dedicated to human services. Kosmos identifies this failure of distributed agency. An unelected few bypass democratic processes, directing public priorities downward based on personal desires. This exposes the core mathematical contradiction of the entire industry. If private philanthropy actually cured root causes like housing and healthcare access, it would destroy the justification for its own existence. To survive, the machine is engineered to manage symptoms. It applies temporary relief that ensures a state of endless dependency, carefully avoiding structural solutions that might disrupt the donor's wealth. The continuous, visible suffering of the poor acts as necessary fuel. It provides an endless supply of crises that the rich can use to launder their reputations. This gauge illustrates Kosmos's Observer's Collapse Function Score. The sector measures 0.81, deep in the critical risk zone. The system relies on optics, and physical reality breaks that illusion. The gap between charitable PR and tent cities is impossible to ignore. The entire charity ecosystem depends exclusively on the public blindly believing that it works. If society stops viewing billionaire giving as a net positive, the legitimacy of the wealth concentration itself falls apart. The math is catching up to the narrative. The machine has reached a breaking point because the contradictions are now undeniably visible to the average citizen. So what happens if we dismantle the structure entirely? What if we eliminate charitable tax incentives and cut off the public subsidy? The counterfactual replaces private philanthropy with democratic public investment. Progressive taxation reclaims that wealth to provide universal basic services, like housing and healthcare, as an absolute right. This shifts authority back to the public. Communities gain the power to democratically decide their own priorities, rather than relying on the arbitrary goodwill of billionaire grants. As British Prime Minister Clement Attlee observed, charity is a cold, gray, loveless thing. If a rich man wants to help the poor, he should pay his taxes gladly, not dole out money at whim.